Hello from Yerevan. This is a podcast pigeon of peace where we do discuss and awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and use comments below for navigation through the questions. Let's speak about nanotechnology and let's start with the definition.
Nanotechnology, that's about scale. When we talk about central processor unit, about memory, about drive to store information, we are using a very small transistor, and size of them right now is going from 5 to 9 nanometers. But we're trying to make them much smaller. For example, 2 nanometers. Right now, several Taiwanese and Korean companies are trying to make. If we will create such a small transistors, we will have much more power to supply them. So the same notebooks will work, for example, for 3 times longer, or maybe processors could run 2 times faster. So nanotechnology is quite promising technology. On the other hand, it would help us to cure our bodies, for example, to replace our heart and to grow our lungs or maybe liver. By the way, several days ago, I have been watching a live channel from China, from my colleagues who work there, and they were showing how they replace whole head from one man to another, and it was completely astonishing. So a lot of robotic hands with some very sophisticated and small instrument, they were working all together, and they were, I don't know how to say, it was like knitting, or when you knit I know, sock or maybe your scarf, but it was the same with human body. It was completely unbelievable.
And when we look into the materials itself, like something that would be part of this, like a non-technological artifact or product, so whether humanity still have something that, like could allow us to use something in order to produce this, maybe, like it could be a certain level of density or scale, or maybe level of fragility, or any other aspects or parameters that could be used for the sake of the goal without losing the quality.
This is completely another field of the science. For example, at the Stone Age, we were using, I don't know how to say, skis.
Skis.
We were using skis. Then we were using horse riding cab. After we were using engine on the steam power. After we were using gasoline engine and some other engine for example, for plane. I don't know how to say, reactively.
Maybe reactive, or maybe, yeah, I think this might be okay.
Okay, maybe reactive. But when we go in such a small density, as you have told us, we should invent another way how to make those things running. For example, if you could create a huge submarine which has a length like 300 meters, yes, it would flow under the ice of the Arctic. But if you want to have the same submarine which will float in your vessel в сосудах кровеносных.
Arterias.
In your arteries, you should use quite another kind of movement. And people are trying to create those small robots, because in this case, we could find thrombus in our bodies. We could beat cancer. We could deliver very precisely medicine to our organelles. It's okay to say organ
Or like body parts.
Body parts. Okay.
And when we look into the limitations that humanity faces, except of the, like anything financial, because I do believe it might be not so relevant here, what other things that would prevent us in order to move faster, or maybe even conceptually, it could be something that could lead to the dead end. So what are the current blockers, limitations, and maybe possible ways that humanity could avoid or bypass them?
All the time people fight against progress. For example, it was a time when in Great Britain there were a movement with the name of Luddites, and they were trying to broke ткацкие станки, textile machines, weavers machines.
Textile machines.
Yes, and the same we have with artificial intellect. For example, yesterday in Europe was take place a new law against intellect. The same would be with nanotechnology. Let's imagine that I have created a lot of flies with the smallest part as, I don't know, 1 nanometer, and I could send them to you, and they, for example, will kill you instantly, or I would send them to some president or some king or emperor. So if someone have succeeded in this technology, it could be almost omnipotent as God, and this person could threaten and blackmail everyone on the planet. So a lot of different companies are trying to do the same: how to kill, how to protect. And if we will invent those small machines, definitely we'll have the law which will prohibit to use them. Because if you could use something to heal, you could use the same machines or machines part to poison someone, to make something unpleasant.
And sometimes when we look into the usage of it, I do believe there might be cases, regardless, like whether it's on the military or maybe on the healthcare side, there is also might be need of replicating or reproducing machines as well. So whether there is a consideration to have like an ability and give it to machine, the ability to gather some sort of like materials and start to, like building the same copies of themselves, or maybe build the mini factory. Let's say, like, for example, we in someone's body and we just want to, like gather some parts of the food or whatever in order to build something which could have similar functions or not.
It is not allowed by law to create machines that could reproduce themselves. For example, I would create something very clumsy, clumsy. I would create something very clumsy, and this machine, if you will meet them like 100 or 1000, they could do nothing to you. But if they could be reproduced, they could cover up your house completely, and you have no air to breathe, or maybe they will cut you the water. So if those machines would be in life, everyone in danger, because who knows if they couldn't stop the production. Yes, if you have, for example, human could carry the baby for 9 months, and then after this child is born, something like 2 years you should nurse it, and before it could go and pronounce first word, and those children are not dangerous to grown-ups. But with machines, if you could create them as replicated, you will meet a very dangerous enemy from the very first moment.
And I probably will ask like a double question. What do you think is the future of nanotechnology and how it could help to make the world a better place?
A lot of scientists, they trying to break spears to understand how we could use those technologies. From one hand, we could improve our health. From other hand, what will we do with these old bodies and old brains? So no one knows. Maybe we will find a way, maybe we will create some lands, and this land would live people who are older than 100 years old, and they have special hospitals, and they have special place to go, because if we will live on the same land, people from 4 or even 5 generations, the earth couldn't be divided, because everyone would disturb another.
And we reviewed the skill of nanotechnology and how it could help you to make a better life. Stay in peace. And this was the podcast Pigeon of Peace.